guys, I'm Aaron from PhoneDog.com, and BlackBerry 6 is finally on T-Mobile. The BlackBerry Bold 9780 is available at T-Mobile retail stores, online at T-Mobile.com. You know, design-wise, pretty similar to the BlackBerry Bold 9700. Design-wise, battery door is a little different. 5-megapixel camera on this phone as opposed to 3.2 megapixels on the old Bold 9700. Other than that, pretty similar, save for the fact that it has BlackBerry OS 6 on it. Is that a worthwhile change? Is it worth buying? And, you know, in light of the Android devices, the Windows Phone 7 devices that are out, we'll find out in the full review. But special thanks to our friends at Best Buy Mobile for hooking us up with 2 of these for use in our One Paw Bandit giveaway. You know, we like to give away devices. We like to hook you up. Best Buy Mobile helps make that happen. So they're pretty cool guys, and one thing I love about Best Buy Mobile, you go in, you walk out working. So you get this device, they help you set up your email. Best Buy helps you set up your camera, your web, anything you want to learn how to use on the device, Best Buy Mobile is there to help you. So when you walk out the door, you're walking out working. But enough of that, let's get into the review. BlackBerry Bold 9780, T-Mobile, BlackBerry 6. Is it worth it? We'll find out. Here's the BlackBerry Bold 9780 with T-Mobile. It's available now for $129.99 on an Even More plan, $449.99 on an Even More Plus plan. So it's right up there with the MyTouch 4G, $50 more, and you'll get the G2, and it's, I believe, $50 more as well for the Vibrant. So it's right up there in high-end territory when it comes to price. Does it match when it comes to performance and overall features? Well, we'll find out. But it has BlackBerry 6. It may look exactly the same as the Bold 9700, but it's not. It's running BlackBerry 6. It has more memory, and actually, from the design standpoint, there are some differences. I have a 9700 here. You'll notice immediately the chrome around the edges is darker on the 9700 versus the 9700, and then minor things like the battery door. It's instead of having more of a kind of bumpy feel on the 9700, it's very smooth. Both are kind of the faux leather, but smooth there. Hardware-wise, as I said, more memory on the 9780 and better camera as well. A 5-megapixel camera on this as opposed to a 3.2 megapixel camera on the 9700. But BlackBerry 6 is really the star of the show. And, in testing, if you've worked with the Style or the Torch, it's basically a Torch but in a different form factor. You know, BlackBerry 6, it's nice to see it on T-Mobile, and it's nice to see it on the Bold series. And it comes with all the changes that you would expect, WebKit browser, and overall same fluidity, same look as well. So, it comes up with all like this, and to get to the menu, you can right-click or click the BlackBerry button, hit Open Tray, and you can bring down and see the applications on the device. Out of the box, out of the box, your web browser, T-Mobile browser, Web2Go as they call it. BlackBerry App World is actually installed on BlackBerry 6 devices, so it comes out of the box. Visual voicemail, BlackBerry Messenger, typical BlackBerry stuff. Now, social feeds is a new application for BlackBerry 6. I've covered it in the Style review and in the Torch review, but what social feeds is a social aggregator, an aggregator for your social networking programs. So, Twitter, Facebook, MySpace, instead of configuring them separately through the programs that are installed on the device, you can use social feeds and BlackBerry messages, Messenger messages, and Facebook, Twitter, MySpace will all appear in one program along with any RSS feeds you may have. So you see RSS filter here, and then once I configure, I go to Options and configure the display here. You'll see it has the option to integrate AIM, BlackBerry Messenger, Facebook, Google Talk, MySpace, Twitter, Windows Live, and Yahoo Messenger. So you can do all of that from social feeds. But continuing on, Facebook, Twitter, and MySpace are pre-installed along with T-Mobile's My Account and a few more things. So it's familiar but fresh, and that's what RIM wanted with BlackBerry 6. For BlackBerry users of the past, or that are used to OS 5 and other OSs in the past, very similar on that front, but for new BlackBerry customers, RIM is hoping that BlackBerry 6 is media-centric enough to attract new people. So there are a lot of different little things I like about this. As a former BlackBerry user, there are some changes they've made to BlackBerry 6 where I'm like, hey, that's pretty smart. First of all, when you log in for the first time, you turn the device on for the first time, it brings up the setup menu. So instead of having to navigate through settings, setting up email accounts the hard way, physically or manually configuring your BlackBerry Messenger account, once you get the device out of the box and bring up setup, it configures it, or it brings up setup, and you can do it all from this main display. So you can see email accounts are set up, instant messaging is set up. So let's say it's a new BlackBerry, and I'm here, so I can go to email accounts, and it walks me right through the setup. So it's not a big thing, not a huge difference, but for people that are new to BlackBerry or people that don't want to take the time to go through the menu and spend 7 minutes trying to find the email button to set up email. This is a nice touch where you can do it all from one setup screen. So within 2 minutes of getting the device, you can get everything set up on one screen. So when you back out of it and get into the actual OS or get into the actual the home screen, you're ready to go out of the box. So network connectivity, you can click here and see manage connections, and you'll notice some familiar stuff there. And you can go here whenever you get a notification, an email, a text message, a missed call, anything of that nature. It appears right here in this little bar. So you can see on the left you have your profiles over here, and to the right you can search. But when you go to this middle part and click it, I don't have any notifications right now, but if I had missed calls or text messages or anything of that nature, they would appear in order here. So cool BlackBerry 6 feature. Otherwise, you can see all applications by clicking here, or you can scroll over to favorites. If you have any favorite applications, you can put those there. Media, downloads, frequent. So apparently, for my frequent apps, I use contacts, pictures, messages, options, setup, and memo pad the most. Now those obviously change depending on which ones I use the most. So you can configure that depending on, or click on that one if you like your frequent apps. You can leave it here, or you can go back to all, or you can scroll over to favorites. To my knowledge, there's no way to turn that off though. So if it's sitting in your pocket or you accidentally scroll over, I found in a couple weeks I've been using it that I would accidentally scroll over every now and again, and I'm like, wait, what is this set of applications? This isn't how I had it configured. But otherwise, you can configure the app similarly to BlackBerry OS or OS 5.0 by clicking on the app and marking move, so I can move it over there. And once I go back and go down to the minimalized version, you can see that if I had moved it, it would be the second app. So not that a lot's changed when it comes to the mail app or the text messaging or anything of that nature, but we'll pop open messages just so you can see, news alert, for example, and New York Times, and you can see that I've changed the font on this, and we'll go into fonts in just a second. But otherwise very similar to as you would expect from BlackBerries of the past. So very similar on that front. Actually, that does remind me, I want to get into fonts, and I know I'm jumping around a little bit, but let's take a look. Options, it's totally been revised. Instead of having the blocky, applications and screen/keyboard, security settings, things like that, it's grouped now by some select categories like sounds and ringtones, networks and connections, display, and then below it gives you an idea of what's in that particular folder. So if I go to display, it's talking about date, time, themes, and screen, typing and input, language, keyboard, text input, device, pin, auto on-off, battery, storage. So if I'm looking for something in particular, I can kind of scroll down and see, okay, we want to go to the display. No, we want to go to display, for example, so we can look at the fonts on the screen. So we'll go to screen display, which says change theme, font, backlighting. So it's just a little bit more organized than BlackBerry OS 5.0 and beyond. So I have the font on Arial, but you can see here, scroll and wait for it to zoom, you can see that it gives you kind of a preview of what the fonts are going to look like. So we can change it to BB Alpha Sans Condensed, for example, leave it on font size 7. So all the same things that you remember from the older versions of BlackBerry. And there it is, the font has been changed. And we can do all the stuff from settings, but again, it's easier, in my opinion, just to go to setup. Even as an existing or former BlackBerry user, go to setup, and we can do most of it from here. Change wallpaper, change fonts, change the convenience key. So they made it pretty simple from the setup menu to do everything that you need to do to get the device configured for you. So on that topic, let's take a look at text messaging, and you can see that it's pretty similar on that front as well, minus the design changes that come from BlackBerry 6. Still threaded text messaging. But the Bold 9700 or 9780s keyboard, rather, let's see, the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. So the Bold 9780s keyboard is as good as ever, and you can see that in terms of design, it's unchanged from the 9700. Still very tactile. The keys are raised on the edges, and it's the same in terms of design with the Send and End key, BlackBerry back, and then the trackpad. So when it comes to the design, save for the Chrome, save for the camera changes, and a couple other minor things like the battery door, not a lot of changes, if any, to the keyboard, to the screen size, to things like that. But text messaging worked pretty well. Let's take a look at the browser, because this is arguably the #1 improvement that comes from BlackBerry 6 is the WebKit browser that's pre-installed. Now, the one frustration that everyone had about BlackBerry, the web browsing was terrible on OS 5 in comparison to something like an iOS device or an Android device. Has it improved? It has improved. It's one of those things, though, it doesn't, in comparison to the other BlackBerry 6 devices, the style, the torch, this isn't the best one to browse on, obviously. It doesn't have a touch screen. It requires you to manually zoom in and zoom out. Now, that said, it's still an improvement from OS 5.0, but it still remains to be seen whether people that are used to iOS or Android would pick this up over another iOS or Android device. Excuse me. But it's definitely better. It's definitely improved. But coming from Android or coming from Windows Phone 7, I just can't see people going back to this because there's still a lot of work to be done. But let's zoom in here, for example, to our Win Big with Phone Dog post. You can see it zoomed right in, one click of the mouse, zoomed right in with pictures and with everything. So the actual browser, quality is very good. And you have your options here in the menu. You can open link in a new tab, add to bookmarks, zoom in, let's zoom in and out. And you can see like the torch, it suffers from a little bit of checkerboarding in the browser. Let's see here. And you're watching this real time, so let go of that, and then we can scroll back up through the main page.